Previously.
And there we go, the camera has spun again. So at this point, I should have probably held position and not gone for it. You know what? Here, it's very easy to just try and jab it. Now, I don't think you can get much closer without docking. See some trees there. MacLeod looks very happy at this point. In fact, she's looked very happy for most of the time, even when she was still in orbit. So what's the next step? Well, as soon as she gets down, we're going to have to start thinking about her next mission. And that's going to be an interesting one because we've spent a bit of time getting her back. This was quite a quick docking and a rendezvous and docking, but even so, it took some time. So she's down, she's safe, and she's going to do some science because she can, because we don't have science from, I think that was Grasslands or whatever it was. Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 1.10, back to basics. So, today's mission, we're going back to Minmus. At the end of the last mission, Nalcot's mission, or the return of Nalcot, we picked up a contract which was to go back to Minmus, put ourselves a flag down, and do some science. And so I thought, well, this is a great opportunity to get some more experience for our new pilots. With Jeb stranded around the moon currently, we've only just got Nalcot back, and she has another mission that actually runs in parallel to this one. So next episode, you're going to see what Nalcot was doing while this was all happening. So we're going to go back to Minmus. We're going to take the Jeb 1, and we're going to modify it. So you can see on the screen, I've already stripped out the whole lower section of the Jeb 1. It just wasn't working. We've restructured the top of the Jeb 2, given it a little bit of space underneath, and I've put basically a modified Gene 2 underneath it. Now, we saw the Gene 2 work really well in the last episode, and so I maybe got a little overconfident at this point of the design. That top section, that top capsule, and the sort of landing stage is heavy. It is big. And so to make up for that, I have to put another stage on top with a Terrier engine. That should be okay. However, it's taking up a lot of thrust. It's a lot of weight. So I've put 4 boosters on, I've asparagus staged them, and then I realise, well, you find me still in the VAB. I was going to launch, and then I had an epiphany. We're going to Minmus. We've got some new equipment that we haven't used yet. This is from Breaking Ground, so let's have a go at using it. So, past me actually figured out what I was about to say. I needed to put the Breaking Ground material in, so I strapped on the Breaking Ground unit at the bottom there. It seems to fit, filled it up with things, and was ready to go. And so, back to me. Well, that looks interesting, I think. Welcome to the launch pad. So we are ready to get going. We have Tati, we have Elnie. Elnie's never flown before. I forgot the launch clamp, so that's lucky we're not falling over. We're just going to go straight for it. I will speed you up this bit. I'll probably do a little voiceover so I can talk to you about it. So over to future me. Thank you, past me. So we launched, and it seemed to go quite well. Until about now, when I start to realise that we've now lost all of our boosters and our speed isn't really increasing at the rate I would like, and neither is our orbital position. So although we've got the height, I'm a little concerned about the periaps position. We've not circularised much at all in this climb, and you'll notice that I actually start to tilt backwards. I'm tilting backwards because we don't have the thrust. I've now lost my boost stages, and I'm onto that second stage, which is, you know, in orbit sort of manoeuvring, things like that. There's a lot of energy in it. I knew I was going to have to use it when I was actually launching, but I was hoping to use a lot of it for going to Minmus, and that's not the case. You'll see it takes me quite a while to get up there. Right, we have an orbit just. That was an interesting little experience, more like a Centaur sort of launch than anything else. Right, let's have a look for our Minmus. Yeah, so I now fiddle around looking for Minmus and trying to find an interaction with it. I'm actually wanting to go into some sort of polar orbit. I'd love to get into a polar orbit with Minmus because it will give me the ability to land in a few different locations. So I position myself for an for a transfer burn using the noisy engines. We're actually lucky that we're not too far away from the I think it's the ascending or descending nodes, so I'm not having to do an inclination change. I was hoping to get it actually on the descending node, but we couldn't quite do that. And then I start trying to get, perfect my my orbit around Minmus and my interaction with Minmus, and I sort of move it backwards and forwards. It doesn't go very well, so I give up. And I basically end up just flying to Minmus. I do a little bit of science. We get the magneto boom out. We do a bit of that, and then I'm going to pass back to past me as we come into Minmus. Right, welcome back. So a little bit glitch in the middle of there where our time warp wouldn't work, so I had to exit and re-enter the game. I hope that didn't jolt too much. We've entered the sphere of influence of Minmus, and we're going to do a little bit of science. We're going to get this done. We are coming in, and this was sort of the plan, but I've sort of been lucky with it as well because of the timings. We're actually coming in over the pole, and I really wanted to do a polar landing. Now this is really far over the pole, and this is going to take a lot of delta V to actually sort out, I think. Am I actually? No, I'm doing the wrong thing. Start again. So periaps, add maneuver, slow down. Okay, it's going to take 200. Oh. Right. So that's going to drop us right down to near the poles. I just hope that we actually have enough to do this. So once we're down there, how much is it going to cost us to actually do the rest? We don't know. Right, we're going to warp to that. We're going to do this. Have we got the science that we wanted? I think we have. Beautiful, beautiful science, all gone. Yep, so we're going to take it down now into our polar orbit. And I will hopefully see you. In fact, you know what, let's do this live. So we're going to do our first burn to take us right down into this really highly elliptical orbit. We're going to do that by burning retrograde or near retrograde. It doesn't really matter whether we use the maneuver node or we use that, because it's the same basic thing. We're basically just trying to bring ourselves down, so we can do it at any point. And in actual fact, I'm going to just start it. It will take us a little while, and it's quite noisy when it happens. But we're just basically going to be burning retrograde using this fuel, this lovely, lovely fuel that we've got. We've got 1,200 after this burn left, so that's not going to be terrible. But it is taking a bit of effort. It is more than I would have liked. I could have probably got a better, closer encounter, but I didn't. I blame me for that. We'll start to see this curving around soon, and then we'll just we'll tap it and then control it a little slower. You can see it's starting to curve round now. It's just starting to go, and there we go. And then we can just bring it in. And what I actually do is close that. So we're going to just do that until we get a nice periaps. And we want to be really quite close. The closer we are, the more effective everything's going to be. So just in, and there we go. There we go, that's nice. So then we want to warp to periaps. We can see Minmus spinning away there really nicely. I don't think Minmus has any any mountains that are above sort of 10k. I hope not anyway. Right, and then we're going to do the same thing and just bring our apoaps down. And we could just go straight for a landing if we wanted to. But we don't have to. And that's a nice, easy sort of approach there. And there we are. Nice orbit. There we go. Now, where to land? I probably want to go above. So I could go above, although I'm right underneath at the moment, and that is actually quite beautiful. I could just burn retrograde right now. We've got the Highlands. Let's have a look. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go right now. Retrograde. Land it. Right, I'm just going to burn down. It's a very noisy engine. Where do we want to go about? I would really like to just drop straight down to something flat, but I don't think anything is flat. Right, we are using a lot of fuel of doing this. This is lazy sea monsters. Very lazy. Right. Put ourselves retrograde to surface. Remember surface. And let's go down. We're going to gain some speed as we go down. Put it onto the actual height so we don't crash into the ground too much. Right. Get to there. Are we going to be in a valley or something, are we? That looks as though it might be flattish or relatively flat compared to everything else. No, that's going to be a hill of all sorts of proportions, isn't it? How quick can I? Oh, I can kill that off pretty quickly. So we can just ramp that up at the last minute if need be. Let it drop down. Try to be reasonably efficient. Keep it within a sort of sensible range. I don't want to go too soon, do I? That's a beautiful shot. The Kerbin in the background there. Going down a bit more, about 200. I'm gonna. Let's do that. Keep it. Right. And we can just coast down now. Tiny bit of thrust. Just slowing down ever so much. Hope it's not going to drift. Now we are unbalanced. We've not got an even load, and that is likely to cause a little bit to drift for us. So we're going to let it speed up a bit more. I really want to touch it down. Just ever so soft. Ever so soft. Ever so soft. Ever so soft. There we go. We are down. And so at this point I do the science again. Past me is quite happy about the science, and then I notice that I'm not quite level, so I start fiddling around, and then in reality what I haven't realised is that the engines and the storage unit are actually lower than the legs, and I forgot to lower them when I was building the craft, but I don't want to mention that, but I have. And then we start putting out the equipment. So this is the breaking ground equipment. We put out our control unit, we put out a couple of the experiments, and then we start putting out the solar panels. And this is when I start to realise that actually we're on the South Pole, and the sun's not here that often because we're in a crevice, we're in a crater, we're in some sort of hole. I've also put them all round the base and not done it in a sort of sensible order. You can see the sun there, or Kerbal just showing up. But anyway, back to past me. Right, so we have our science equipment down. There's a lot of it. Because we didn't bring an engineer, we have had to bring a lot of solar panels. So can we actually, is that doing stuff? That's doing stuff. And that should be just ticking up science from now on for us, just every now and again. Right, we've completed the scientific data around there. Have we got one more else? We have the planty flag thing. Right. So, next thing, plant flag. And this is going to be our southern pole, I'm guessing. So we'll have to write that on it. So, site name, Minmus Southern Pole. South Pole research. So It's where we're doing our research on the South Pole of Minmus, and I think that's us done. So I'm going to climb back up. We'll check that we've got no more science to do. Have we got to do anything? So that's da-da-da-da-da. So, future me again. The mission is pretty much done. Well, apart from the small fact of getting back into getting back to Kerbal. I check out the science equipment again. I run the time forward a bit just to make sure everything's okay. And then I finally, after struggling, managed to get into the craft. I'm still slipping down, so it's a bit odd. Anyway, what are we going to do? We're going to take off. We're going to go... which way do we want to go? We're right on the southern pole. In an ideal world, we'd go that away. But I don't know which way that away is. What I could have just done, actually, if I was being really sort of concerned about fuel levels, is just launch into any orbit, any polar orbit, and then just wait until Minmus is in such a position that by breaking orbit, I'm going in the right direction to go back to Kerbin. What I actually did, because I've got quite a bit of fuel, is I got into that sort of polar orbit, and then I started to wiggle it about with it a bit. I forced it a little bit and used a bit of fuel, but we had loads left. I think the noisy engine kicks in again, and that's quite annoying. I think I by the time I finished this, I probably had about 900 Delta V left, so we had plenty of fuel to go. You know, we could have gone via the Mun and done some work there. Could have seen Jeb and Bill or Bob. At some point I'm going to remember which one is which. And then it was just a case of coming back to Kerbin. We got down near towards the atmosphere. We at that point realised that I hadn't actually transferred the science across, so I did that quickly, decoupled the rest of the craft, and we just went in. It was very, very hot, the re-entry. This is probably one of the most, in fact, it's the most extreme re-entry we've had so far. I should probably have slowed it down a bit at the start there, so you could see just the amount of heat that was coming off. We had a lot of things go. We had some explosions. But then we got down safely, and that's it. So, until next time.